Hi everyone, I'm Yanjali. It is the second week of our technical session. So today I will continuously give you the technical education of Genian, how to set the policy. So today agenda is the basic definition and the rule for setting policy in the Genian, the second part. Okay, let's start to the second technical session. So before we start to today's session, we will quickly review what we learned from the session one. So uh, I gathered some keyword in the session one. So once you decided to create the policy, you first need to create the group the first. So Genian provided two types of the group. The first one is policy group, which is about the node information. And the other one is the status group, which is about the node condition. So after you creating the group, you can make some policy. For example, if you wanted some correcting the device visibility, the group visibility, you move it to the node policy. And if you wanted to allowing, denying, or redirect the group, you move it to the enforcement policy. So last session, we have learned about the requirement in the policy menu. Today, we are going to learn about the definition in the policy menu. So, so don't miss out this session for today. In the policy menu, there are three sub-menu. First one is node and node policy and enforcement policy. They have their own definition we should have to remember for setting the policy. So let's check that each one by one. The first definition is in the node menu. So last session, we have a two group. So now it is time to learn how to create two types of the group in the UI. Okay, let's check that each one by one. So we are going to learn how to create a policy group in the node menu. So please take a look at this slide. There is the text box. Please click the text box and then number one, you should select created for node policy. And next step, number two, you should have to fill out ID, which means about the group's name. Today, I put the name as the G underbar regular underbar marketing one. The meaning of this ID is that the G as the group, the regular means the regular employee, which is who is not the guest. So the meaning of this group name is that the group of the regular employee, especially who working in the marketing team. So please make sure when you make the group name, it should be reflect what the group's function, what the groups does. So next step, number three, you should have to double check you are now making the group for policy group. And number four, you should select this choice as the enable for your actual active in the later. And then finally, it is time to make the condition for defining this group. So please take a look at the number five. You can make the condition one just condition or multiple condition in this group. And then you should select either and or. Because the one example, if you choose that and, it means that all of the conditions should be met and then the result is applied to this group. But if you choose the or, one of the all condition is met, the result is applied to this group. Today, I fixed the set the end button, all of the policy. So after you select the end, now you finally make the condition for this group. So normally the business department, especially the marketing or sales, HR, they are recognized by their own IP, especially subnet. With this information, we can create this device's condition. This group's condition. So please take a look at the number 6. Once you click the add button, there are just small pop-up boxes appear. So I wanted to select the criteria of the IP and operate its subnet, and then I'm going to put the value data by myself. Today, I already put the data is the 192.168.2.1. It is the subnet range recognized of the marketing team 1. And then you click the end button. This is how you created policy group in the node menu. Second one, let's start to learn how to create a status group in the node menu. So the directory is all the same as the policy group. So please click the text box, and then in this time you should select just create number 1. And then take a look at the number 2. You also and finally, it is time to set the condition for defining this status group. So I have already said that I'm going to find the devices, the group, which has not installed the antivirus. So I choose the antivirus as the criteria, and operator is the is. The value I selected not installation. Oh, I'm sorry, not installation. And then click the end button. So this is how you created of the status group for which has not installed the antivirus on the endpoint. So once you set the creating the policy, you first click the text box and take a look at the number 1. You select the create, and then small box pop-up box is appear. So take a look at the number 2. You should click the create policy for your new policy. And then click the next. Take a look at the number 3. It is time to fill out the ID. It means that making the policy name. So today, for example, I put the name regular employee 1 under by compliant. What I put the meaning over here is that I wanted to correcting the information, any regular employee who have been met with the company regulation. This is my purpose, so I put this name on the ID. And then click the next. And take a look at the number 5. It is time to select the group for this policy. So in the node policy, Genian allowed you to select only policy group that you have made it in the node policy. So today, I'm going to select one of the node policy. Policy group is the G under by regular under by marketing 1. And this group can be a target for this policy. So click the next. Please look at the number 5. Number 5 is, I think I wanted to highlight it, the feature of number 5. Name of the policy preference. Briefly, policy preference function is to set the basic policy for authentication and Genian agent. So policy preference, there are 3 sub-menus inside it. First one, authentication policy, and second, agent policy, and last one, management policy. Let's take a look at each one by one. Okay, let's look at the first of the authentication policy in policy preference. So the role of the authentication policy is that, for example, a new devices in the group is detected by Genian. The Genian make these devices authentication with your predefined policy. For doing that, you should have to prior to set the policy here. Okay, let's look at each one by one. I choose that some choices we should have to requirely see it. Okay, the first one, authentication method. So today I select this choice as the password authentication. So after selecting this item, so a new devices, for example, detected by Genian, the Genian make these devices to get its own ID and password for the authentication. And the second, auto logout. I think that you have already experienced this kind of a feature in other solution. It's almost the same with them. So I'm going to explain what about that. So auto log out, once you select these choices as the on, so during some certain period, a devices has not communicated with the Genian net. I mean that some certain period time, the devices has not access to the corporate network and has not detected by Genian net. These devices automatically become the unauthorized status. So after these devices try to access the corporate network, the devices should log in again with its own ID and password. Third one is the customer user login page URL. So to get the ID and password, the devices should be landing some pages, especially sign up, right? We call this CWP. So Genian provided two types of the page for it. First one, Genian provided by default the Genian style of the standard CWP page. Or you can create it your own page with your company logo or some customizing comment in the page. So if you wanted to use the later one, you should have to fill out the URL information in the box. The last one is display name of the username and the password. So you can also make your own title name in the CWP page. For example, you can just simply leave the text because the ID and PW for the password, or just the full name like the username and password. Okay, second sub-menu is the agent policy. The agent here means that the Genian agent. So after you set the policy here, it means that how you operate the Genian in the endpoint. So let's look at each one by one. First one is agent. Today, I select these choices as the on. It means that a devices detected by Genian and verify that there is no Genian agent on the endpoint. Genian make these devices redirect to some certain page to force these devices install the agent. And second one, agent fail safe. So after install and successfully running the agent on the endpoint, but due to some reason, sometimes the agent cannot properly working temporarily. So in this case, Genian maintain this agent working with a status of the very latest version setting. And third one, policy update interval. So the agent and Genian policy server should be regularly communicated to get the latest update one, right? So you can set the specific time, how often between Genian agent and Genian policy server for the new latest updated version. Okay, the third menu, sub-menu is the management policy. This is the general management about the NAC of the Genian So I wanted to highlight it. One thing here is about the deleting download. So you can set some specific time on it, for example, a week or a month, or just a few 5 or 6 days. So after you're setting some specific time here, and then a devices has not communicated with the Genian neck, I mean, it has not detected by Genian neck because of your long-term vacation or your business trip for about a month, and then Genian neck deleted these devices, I mean, the node on his list. So once the device is detected by Genian neck again, the devices should have to follow a flow of the authentication again. And then next step, it is finally the creating the policy for collecting the group visibility. Because let's look at the box in the middle. There is the agent action. So there are already several items which has been made by the Genius team. So today I just select some of them. For example, authenticate user using the Genius agent, and check antivirus software installation, and configure Windows security setting. So after I select 3 of them and click the end button, Genius Neck start to detect and correcting this information from the group, the devices. So this is the how you created the policy for node policy. So after you click the end, finally the end, you can find that your policy on the list in the node policy page. So after you click the enforcement policy, there is the pages appear for setting the policy up there. So please click the text box and take a look at the number 1. Click the create. So next one is to take a look at the number 4. You should have to fill out the group of the policy group and status group. So unlikely the node policy, enforcement policy allowed you choosing the both of the policy group and status group or either one of them. So this group can be a target for enforcement such as blocking or allowing or redirect or remediation. So after you're selecting this group, please look at the number 5. So you can get the permission of them. So after you choosing among them, and then click the next. Please take a look at this number 6. So if you select the redirect, I mean the CWP, you can also set the CWP page like you can use the Genius standard CWP page or your own customizing page. You can set the policy up here. And number 7, switch port blocking. So it means that you can block the switch port which are connected with this group. So after that, you finish it creating the policy in the enforcement policy. Your enforcement policy is listed put on the list on this page. So it is the almost end of the session 2 for today. So there are also a lot of vocabulary here today, but okay, I really appreciate you joining here today, and I also you enjoyed it today's session too. So I hope you see you guys in the next 2 weeks again. So thank you so much for joining us.